We want to thank you for joining our City Council meeting tonight. Tonight we will have two meetings. The 6 o'clock meeting, the first one is our regular City Council meeting. And then at 7 o'clock, we will have a second meeting, which is a special meeting of the City Council and the, and the Cotati Community Police Advisory Committee, and that's at 7 o'clock. So we finish early, we'll take a small break, and we'll continue at 7 o'clock. No matter what, we'll pause at 7 o'clock for our second meeting. We want to thank you for coming to the joint meeting of the Cotati City Council and the successor agency to the former Cotati Community Redevelopment Agency. So we're going to start with a call to order. Yes, go ahead.
Councilmember Savage.
Here.
Vice Mayor Harvey.
Here.
Mayor Lemus.
Here. And then we have...
Show Councilmember Ford and Sparks as absence.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the second item is approval of the minutes and notice of waiving of reading of all resolutions and ordinances introduced and are adopted under this agenda action. We have minutes from the Cotati City Council regular meeting, March 10th, 2026. Is there any questions or comments from City Council? Okay, we'll go to public comment. Public comment on this item, we'll go to Zoom first, and this is on the minutes.
Thank you, Mayor Lemus. Zoom attendees, please use the raise hand icon if you would like to make a public comment on this item. Seeing no hands, that will end the Zoom portion of public comment.
Okay, thank you. So is there anyone in the room that wants to make a comment on the minutes? Okay, we'll move on to the next item. Actually, sorry. So we will request a motion from City Council.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, and all approve? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. So that passes. And the next item we have is a proclamation. And for the proclamation, we have a Government Finance Professionals Week. And so we'll start with public comment on this. So we'll start with in a room. Is there public comment on Government Finance Professionals Week? Yes, ma'am. Okay, go ahead and come forward.
Good evening, Council. For the benefit of the audience, my name is George Barrich. I'm a former City Councilman here in Cotati. I see this item on the agenda. It might have been more appropriate to open up public comment after this item was explained, because it is very interesting what's going on here. In recent weeks of council meetings, we've had citizens come forward and complain to the City Council that they've tried their very best to submit public records requests to the Finance Department, and these people explained at great length their inability to do so because it seemed like city staff was avoiding them. These people came to the City Hall looking for city staff, tried to come in during regular business hours, and couldn't get any service whatsoever. So there was no comment from the City Council, no explanation, no outreach to these individuals coming forward. These public records requests apparently appeared to have been violated. They were delayed, or they have not been acted on at all. So I'm concerned as a taxpayer and former city leader here how these things are happening under our watch. Our finance directors have historically been very professional, very forthcoming. In recent weeks and months, they've been evasive, and it concerns me, and it concerns the public. Not to mention the fact that our city, according to our research, has been running in the red for some time. And even when I was on the City Council, the city manager declared a fiscal emergency because we were underwater. We had no reserves, flat broke. Rohnert Park had reserves. They set a good example. But we, in Cotati, we spent like drunken sailors, thinking the party was never going to end, 2007, 2008. And I thought we learned a lesson. Evidently, we haven't. We talk about reserves, but in reality, the reserves are not there. We talk about unfunded liabilities. Sometimes Susan Harvey has spoken to it, actually, and I appreciate that. But the fact is, there's no meat in the discussion. Our unfunded liabilities are in the millions of dollars. So I'm very interested to see what this presentation is all about. Sounds like our financial staff and accountability needs to be reined in and explained. Thank you.
Is there anyone in the room that would like to comment on the proclamation for Government Finance Professionals Week? Okay, we'll go to Zoom.
Thank you, Mayor Lemus. Once again, Zoom attendees, please use the raise hand icon to make a public comment on this item. And we do have a hand. The Zoom name is a phone number. The last 4 digits are 8409. You have the floor. Caller, are you able to unmute and give your public comment?
Hello, hello.
Hello, we can hear you
Oh,
now.
there you are. Okay. I would just like to say that hang on 1 second, I want to mute my computer. Anyway, what I wanted to say is I agree completely with Mr. Barrett. I was the one that was down there at City Hall. I was down there several times, probably for 3 meetings. Tried to get a hold of your finance professional, your administrative service person, Angela Corder. I'm not afraid to mention her name. I put in public records requests. She never responded to any of them. It was always shipped it off to somebody else. She was the person that should have been in charge of telling me who was paying what to whom. I never got any answers. Matter of fact, every time I was down there, she had a meeting. Now, maybe that's what happens every Tuesday. I don't know. But it seems rather obvious that I was being avoided when the council meeting, 5 minutes before the council meeting, she marched in and never said a word to me. You know, it's nice to be professional, and you have Government Finance Professionals Week. Well, you're not acting very professional as far as I'm concerned. And at this point, I'm not going to threaten litigation. I mean, it's very simple. People keep putting yourself right in the line of fire for this stuff. The California Public Records Act is not something to be trifled with. Any good attorney can force you. If I have to go to court to get documents, I can do that. And you have to pay, your city has to pay the legal fees. If you want to do it that way, that's fine. But I would suggest instead of saying how wonderful these people are, you would actually do something to get them to act professionally. Thank you very much.
The next hand is from Lori. You have the floor.
Hi. I wanted to say that Angela's been good up until the city attorneys got involved. And I've been asking since November, the totals for Redwood Public Law. And the attorneys turn around and say it's attorney-client privilege when they've done it before with, they've given me the totals before. So there's no exemption claim because they gave it to me before. But how many times do I have to request it? This is the kind of stuff that's going on. I can't even estimate the costs because the city doesn't give the information. I think Angela's very good at her job, and I appreciate Neil and all the accountants and all that, but the attorneys need to stop making the financial information not available in PRA requests and exempting themselves, because they're going to end up in court. Because how many months it's been 5 months and I can't get the totals for Redwood Public Law for October. So anyway, thank you.
There are no further hands on Zoom. Mayor Lemus, that will end public comment.
Okay, thank you so much. So we're proud to present this proclamation, and I believe this is the first time that we are presenting this, correct? And so we have 5 recipients today. And so what I'll do is I'll call out the names and the information, and then after I read the proclamation, I'll ask if each group wants to come up and take a picture with your proclamation, if that's okay. So we have the Rancho Adobe Fire District, and Jennifer Bechtold is here on their behalf. Thank you. Jennifer, so if you want to wait, and then afterwards we'll ask you to come up, and I'm just reading the names first. We have Sonoma County Auditor, Controller, Treasurer, and Tax Collector's Office. We have Lindsay Van Middle, Edward Daniels, and Eric Roser. Thank you. We have the Cotati Roanoke Park Unified School District, John Bartolome and Molly Kohler. And Marin Sonoma Mosquito and Vector Control District, Liz Garcia, I'm not sure if she made it today, but she's also was invited to attend. And the Cotati Administrative Services Department, Neil Tomlinson, Rosie Speranza, Paola Condi Frendo, Casey Moline, and Lana Ook. So I want to thank all of you for being here, and I'm going to read the proclamation, and then we'll invite each group to come up and receive your proclamation. And if you want to share a few words at that time. The proclamation of the City Council of the City of Cotati recognizing the last week of March as Government Finance Professionals Week. Whereas the California Society of Municipal Finance Officers is the state's leading professional organization dedicated to promoting excellence in financial management for California's local governments, and whereas government finance professionals serve cities, counties, special districts, and joint powers authorities by ensuring transparency, accountability, and responsible stewardship of public funds. And whereas these professionals play a critical role in managing complex budgets, complying with state and federal laws, maintaining accurate financial reporting in compliance with government accounting standards, administering utility rate processes and enterprise funds, and supporting long-term financial sustainability. And whereas California's financial landscape, shaped by Proposition 13, Proposition 218, the GAN appropriations limit, CalPERS pension obligations, and fluctuating economic conditions, requires expert analysis and sound financial leadership. And whereas finance professionals work diligently, often behind the scenes, to provide critical information that enables informed policy decisions and ensures the delivery of essential public services. And whereas recognizing Government Finance Professionals Week during the last week of March helps highlight the dedication, integrity, and professionalism of these essential public servants. Now, therefore, be it further proclaimed on this day of March 24th, 2026, by the City Council of the City of Cotati, does hereby proclaim the last week of March as Government Finance Professionals Week, and encourages all residents to recognize and appreciate the hard work and contributions of the finance professionals who serve our community. We want to thank you. And with that, we want to invite any of these groups that would like to come up and share a few words. You're welcome to come up to the microphone and share a few words, and then we'll come and take a picture with you. And just kind of say which group you're with, and just if you want to share a few words.
Good evening, council members. I am Eric Roser, the elected Auditor, Controller, Treasurer, Tax Collector for the County of Sonoma. With me is, come on up. With me is Lindsay Van Mitty, the Property Tax Accounting Manager, and Ed Daniels, who is also in the Property Tax Division and is integral to the allocation of taxes to local agencies, including your city. My office oversees the collection and distribution of about $1.6 billion in property tax revenue in Sonoma County, and we take our job very seriously. We are an independent office, and we also, I think it'd be interesting for local members of as a city that receives taxes to know that we undergo a 3-year audit every 3 years from the State Controller's Office. They audit the allocation of taxes that we perform to all the agencies. And recently, we just received a clean audit. So thank you to Lindsay and Ed. They're the shining stars in the office, and thank you for the recognition.
Thank you so much. So if you want to wait, like on the side as each group speaks, and then we'll take pictures with each group. Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Molly Kohler. I'm the Director of Business and Finance for the Cotati-Rohnert Park School District. And as the Director of Business and Finance for Cotati-Rohnert Park, I work closely with John Bartolome, our Chief Business Officer, to support the district's financial operations. Together, we develop and monitor our budget and oversee financial activities such as accounting, payroll, audits, and ensure compliance with state and federal requirements. We also collaborate with all of our departments across the district and align resources with priorities to help ensure that our funds are used effectively to support all student success.
Hi, I'm John Bartolome, Chief Business Official for the Cotati-Rohnert Park Unified School District. I help ensure the school district remains fiscally responsible and financially stable. My team manages several budgets, including the general fund, developer fee fund, and voter-approved bond fund, which support facilities maintenance and upgrades. While much of this work happens behind the scenes, when it's done well, the entire organization runs more smoothly and efficiently. I want to thank you for having us today, and I appreciate the recognition.
Thank you. Okay, and then the next group.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Bechtold. I'm the Administrative Manager for Rancho Adobe Fire District. I've been overseeing the administrative service sector for about 20 years now. And as we are kind of coming through some changes here, my role is going to be changing quite a bit. But we wanted to say thank you tonight for honoring the district and acknowledging us.
Thank you. Last but not least.
Angela Quarter, Director of Administrative Services for the City of Cotati. I have a wonderful team behind me, and we just want to say thank you so much for recognizing all the hard work that we do through this proclamation. I know you guys appreciate it every day and every meeting we come to with the financial section and any resolution or staff report. We put our thumbprint on everything that goes through the city and make sure that it is processed accordingly, as well as to the best use for our citizens as directed by you, our council. And we greatly appreciate your support of our work that we do for the city. I also do want to say thank you on behalf of the Mosquito Vector Control for Liz Garcia, who unfortunately couldn't be here this night, but she sent her appreciation as well and is sorry she could not make it. So I don't know if we're good to just take a single photo with all of us. That way we save time and get a big representation of all of us together.
Sure, we can all kind of assemble up there. We'll join you right now. Thank you.
So we're going to turn this way, facing this way.
So everybody kind of this way, and then I'll hand one to each group. And then we have Eric Rhodes. Do I have him? Does everyone have one now?
I think so. Or is he back there?
All right, smile. Beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your work. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much for your work. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the next item, which is agenda review, and I think there may be some changes.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, Council. So I would propose that that tonight the council moves up item 8A into the public hearing. Also continuing item 8B to the April 14th meeting. And then finally, also continuing the closed session to a date uncertain. So making those three changes.
Okay, thank you. So everyone okay with that, moving that? Okay, so do we open that to public comment? We'll go on Zoom first.
Thank you, Mayor Lemus. Once again, Zoom attendees, please use the raise hand icon if you'd like to make a comment on this item. Seeing no hands on Zoom.
Okay, so we'll continue in the room. Anyone have a comment on moving the agenda item? These agenda items? Seeing nobody, we'll just come back to the council. We all agree, so I think we're good on that one. Okay, we'll move on to the next item. So the next item we have is citizen business and public comment for consent calendar items. So this is citizen business and public comment for consent calendar items. Any member of the public wishing to speak to the council on any items listed on the consent calendar or any matter not listed on the agenda that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council may do so at this time. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the council is not allowed to consider issues or take action on any item not listed on the agenda. Pursuant to City Council Policy 2025-03, comments of any member of the public are normally restricted to a total of 3 minutes in length per person for matters not on the agenda and a total of 3 minutes per person in length for any and all items on the consent calendar. The mayor may extend the time limit for a reasonable time where disability accommodation has been requested. To facilitate public comment, the timer indicator lights will display yellow when there are 30 seconds remaining and red when time has expired. So we'll start in the room. In the room, is anyone would like to speak on citizen business and public comment for consent calendar item?
Madam, I filled out a speaker card.
Okay.
As a city request.
Okay, Mr. Barrett, go ahead and come forward.
Thank you, Mayor. For the umpteenth time, I'm simply asking that you read the speaker cards as people submit them. And I think I've submitted 100 or more cards that I asked to be recognized as Councilman Barrich. That's my official title. I earned it, served the city with dignity and respect. Yet for some reason, I don't understand this animosity that you cannot read the speaker card. When I would not fill out a speaker card, they would not call me by my official title. I fill out a speaker card and you still can't read the speaker card correctly. So I'm confused. Since 1963, I was quite a little guy back then. For decades, this city opened up these meetings, these very precious meetings in the most important building in town, with a Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. This went on for 40 years, I think, until the woke mob got a hold of this city council and decided they didn't want to do that anymore, or put it at the end of the meeting because they were so disgusted with America. But I'd like to take this opportunity, out of respect for all the other city leaders who've gone before me, and ask everybody to rise if they'd like to. Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to offer a moment of silence for all our men and women who are abroad serving our country right now. A moment, please. Thank you, Council. On this, I read in the paper or someplace, Mayor Lemus, that you are throwing your hat into the Sonoma County supervisorial race. And I have a couple questions about that I find it odd because I've held my hand out in cooperation to help the council any way I can. I bring over 30 years of experience into this room. I ran for city council 9 times, I think, over the years to make sure there was a race, and it wasn't just appointment, win by default, no discussion of what's going on in town. So you didn't come to me and ask me for my advice, but I have some questions. First, you've never received a vote from anybody in this town. You were appointed. You were installed. because it was a default. There's so many people that don't want to serve in this city, knowing the level of corruption that we've seen. And then the other issue, as I heard, is that, I would like to see our next county supervisor representing our district having some college under their belt. And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think you have any college at all. And that concerns me. A lot of us have backgrounds in finance, government, public administration, construction, look at Mr. Savage too. A lot of experience here, and Ms. Harvey. So I'm concerned. I'm at your disposal if you want to meet with me, but if you want my support, you have to call me by the name that I wish to be called according to proper etiquette. And if you can't do that, it really goes to show your lack of depth, not only as a human being, but as a future county supervisor. I'd like to see you get your feet wet in this room for a few years and prove to the public that you have what it takes to lead.
Okay, anyone else in the room would like to speak on this item? This is citizen business and public comment for consent calendar items. Okay, no one else, we'll go to Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Lemus. Once again, Zoom attendees, please use the raise hand icon to make a public comment. The first hand is from Lori. You have the floor.
Hi. One thing that I was thinking, we have an action minutes. And these have put the value of public input on the back burner. If you go back 20 years, Paulette Bell and other city clerks did wonderful minutes that showed what the citizens said, and it wasn't just all about the county. And I'd like to see that on an agenda, that we stop using. These agenda minutes were wonderful, and they put a period of time. Now you don't have any idea what the citizens said on those. But if you go back 20 years, they're great. You can find anything. And believe me, I've been looking at minutes as a paralegal. So I just want to make sure you guys put my hat in that. That needs to happen. Thank you.
Mayor Lemus, there are no further hands on Zoom. That will end public comment.
Okay, thank you. So I will go now to the consent calendar, and we have 2 items on the consent calendar. First of all, is there any questions or comments from City Council? Okay. So we already took consent calendar. Do we have a motion to approve? We already did. The previous one was, public comment. Did you have another comment on consent?
Just 1 minute.
Okay, sure. Yeah, come forward.
Very gracious of you. Thank you, Mayor. I see this item on the consent calendar regarding the repair to the entrance of City of Cotati, the Cotati sign there. And the first thing that came to mind is that it's on the agenda for an expense, but I'm hoping if that damage to that archway was done by a private party, hopefully their insurance is going to pay for this. So I'd like to hear maybe a discussion on whether the city is going to be reimbursed for the negligent acts of somebody who ran into our entry archway. Thank you, Council.
Okay, thank you. So I know it's a question, so I think there's a response to that. It was an item, right? Mhm.
Yeah, I would just, I can answer in a second. I would just suggest that if anyone else wants to comment, since it's reopened.
Oh, sure. So does anyone else want to comment on, this is a consent calendar? Anyone in the room that would like to comment on consent calendar? Okay, let's go to Zoom and see if there's any comments on consent calendar.
Zoom attendees, please use the raise hand icon if you'd like to make a comment on the consent calendar. No further hands on Zoom. That will end public comment. Thank you, Mayor Lemus.
Okay, thank you. So now I'll entertain a motion on consent calendar.
And Mayor, I will say too that it was damaged by a private party and it's paid for through insurance reimbursement.
Okay, thank you for that.
So no city funds.
Okay, thank you.
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, with one absent. Okay, thank you. And we'll go on to the next item. Then the next one's direction of future agenda items. Is there any direction on future agenda items?
I have one, I'm not sure exactly when it will be coming, but the Waste Management Agency meeting is considering a credit agreement with the County of Sonoma for financing the new household hazardous waste facility, and so that needs to be an amendment to the JPA, and so that needs to get put through all of the cities. So I just wanted to give you a heads up that that's coming. I'm not sure exactly when, but soon.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? No, that's it. Okay, so the next item is a public hearing, which we're going to open up a public hearing. And we're moving up to 8A, right? And 8B is no longer.
Correct, yeah, 8B is continued till April 14th.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So this is consideration of a resolution approving a tree removal permit to allow development of a previously approved subdivision and plan unit development on vacant, unaddressed properties located on the west side of Lund Hill Lane between Jagle Street and Valparaiso Avenue. And we have a report on this.
Thank you, Mayor Lemus, members of the council. My name is J.P. Harries. I'm a senior planner with the city of Cotati. And I do have a presentation, which I'll try to go through fairly quickly. I know there's someone in the audience that will speak. The applicant is also on Zoom if there are questions for the applicant, and I want to leave time for questions and comments. The photo on the right is looking from the south to the north of the property that we're talking about, just to give you a visual, and I have a couple more photos in the presentation. Next slide, please. This is the area. It's off of Lund Hill Lane, on the west side of Lund Hill Lane, just south of Valparaiso and east of Jagle Street. It's a 1.6 acre property. Originally was a 1.6 acre property, which has been subdivided into 8 different lots, which range from about 7,000 to 13,000 square feet in size. It has a PUD overlay, but its underlying zoning is NM. As far as we can tell, the PUD was basically a way to control development of this property. It had always this kind of higher density designation, but the PUD established a zoning where the 4 northerly lots would be developed with duplexes to blend with the more higher density developments to the north and to the east. And then the 4 southerly lots would be developed with, they would be sold as just vacant lots and developed with custom single-family homes. And that was to blend with the Cypress Hills subdivision, which you would know if you drive down Lund Hill. It was very nice homes. Next slide, please. So some background, because this is kind of interesting. This PUD and subdivision was actually created in 1990, almost 36 years ago today. And again, I talked about how it was, the PUD was to be developed. And then in January 28th, on 2008, the Planning Commission approved design review for the duplexes that came in. There was a mitigated neg deck. And then the owner at that time unsuccessfully challenged the conditions of approval, specifically those related to mitigating California tiger salamander and participation in our inclusionary housing fund. Next slide, please. And at that point, obviously, back in 1990, no lots were developed. In 2008, no lots were developed. I don't know exactly when the lots were put on the market, but I know that since I joined the city in 2015, there's been a lot of interest. I have fielded many, many calls, as has Noah, from people that were interested in developing these lots. But once they started to understand the nuances and the complications of developing these lots, especially related to mitigating for the salamander, there was almost no interest or people that were willing to do it that had the knowledge to do it. It just drives the cost of development much higher. Another thing was the PUD overlay also kind of forced people to develop in a particular way. And some people didn't want to do that or go through the zoning amendment to get rid of the PUD. So in October 8th, 2024, you may recall that we amended the code to allow PUDs to be developed either as the PUD or with an underlying zoning. And in our minds, these particular lots were a primary driver for staff presenting that change, because we had seen that in 30-some years, these lots were unable to be developed with the homes that they were supposed to. And so that was part of our thinking. And then around March 2025, the lots were sold. We started discussions with the owners about how they might want to develop it. And we advised them that they could develop it as the PUD, with the kind of duplex and single family, or they could develop it with the underlying zoning NM. Duplexes and single family dwelling approvals or construction it's following our objective design standards. It's a ministerial process, so there wouldn't be future public hearing on these development of these lots, but there is a condition that says, there is a code provision that says only the city council can authorize the removal of an oak tree. Doesn't matter the size of the oak tree, it's just any oak tree, only the city council can do it. And so we advised them that they would have to submit a tree removal application, and we would bring it to the city council for that prior to us being able to issue any permits for grading or building. Next slide, please. So the tree removal, there is one thing else I want to say. The lot, when it was approved in 1990, the original approval of the subdivision, the whole property was graded and frontage improvements were installed. So the trees that we're talking, with the exception of the eucalyptus, I'm not sure the size, given them when they may have been planted, and they're also right along the perimeter. But the oak trees that are proposed for removal have all basically volunteered on the site since 1991, 92, when that grading was completed. They're relatively small, ranging from just little sticks up to about 15 inches in diameter. So relatively young and small trees. The reason for the request is it would allow for the development of the lots. We don't know, we don't have building permits submitted at this time, but we've had discussions, and I've provided in the packet and online some preliminary proposals that they're giving us, kind of conceptual plans. And right now, we've just looked at the 4 lots with the duplexes. So they'd be duplexes with ADUs. And we're expecting the same thing, that the single family would also come with ADUs. And again, we would review that under our objective design standards. Next slide, please. This is a site plan, just to give you an idea. That hashed part are where you're looking west is at the top of this screen. So the entire west side right now is not proposed for any tree removal, nor is the north on the right of this slide. Pretty much, we can see the building envelopes and 3 of the duplexes in this particular graph. That's where the tree removal would be. So everything in the hashed areas, the trees would be preserved for now. There are some eucalyptus in that hashed area, and I know that the applicant will likely come in and ask for those to be removed. They're not part of this approval because that's not the way it was submitted. But I'm expecting that they will come in and staff can authorize the removal of a eucalyptus, and we do almost without question because they are considered an undesirable species by our code and because of their high flammability and growth structure. Next slide, please. And this are just a couple slides so that you can get an idea of the oak trees and just how the property looks. This is standing at the north, looking south. Next slide. This is at the south, looking north. Next slide. And then just to disclose kind of what we're hearing they're going to probably propose, these are two of the lots, and they have a shared driveway, and that would serve both duplexes. Next slide, please. It's maybe a little bit difficult to see on this slide, but here you can see it. There's two shared driveways serving 4 different duplexes. Next slide. This is the first floor. Again, these are conceptual, but this would be the first floor. What you're seeing here is parking for 4 cars, and that's an ADU on the right and an ADU on the left. Next slide. And then the main primary units are on the second story. And next slide, please. And so we reviewed this with respect to CEQA. There were no unidentified or project-specific impacts peculiar to the project site. It is consistent with the general plan and zoning. So CEQA guidelines 15183, which allows us to tier from our general plan EIR, applies, as well as an infill exemption, CEQA guidelines 15332. And mitigation measures from the Cotati General Plan EIR have been applied, and you can see those in the resolution that's before you. Next slide, please. And actually, before I get on to the recommendation, I do want to say one thing about the conditions real quick. And I want to review it, looking at the condition. So there is a mitigation element to this. And we reviewed it compared to our code and what it requires. And we're recommending that 140, there will be 100, based on our calculations and our approach to the mitigation strategy, which is less than what it actually requires, and we did that because of the young nature of the trees. But we still felt that they would need to plant at least 100 and, well, I can't remember the exact number, 156. We are conditioning it, 3 times 8. We are conditioning it so that they have to require 3 on each parcel, so I just did my math wrong. But what we're asking for, though, and I'm sorry to make this very complicated, is that they mitigate for 140 trees that will be unplanted and do that through payment into our tree mitigation fund. The amount that we are recommending that the council include as this conditional approval would ultimately be $18,340, and that's at $131 per tree for 140 trees that would be not planted on that property to mitigate for the loss of the existing trees. And then with that, so staff recommends the city council adopt a resolution approving a tree removal permit to allow the eventual construction of the residential units within the Eucalyptus Glen subdivision. And with that, I'll answer any questions that the city council has.
Okay, we'll go to questions from City Council. Vice Mayor Harvey?
So you said that there's this number of trees, 300 and some odd trees, and that there's more that they might come in and ask to be removed? So they're only asking for some, and
well,
can you go through that?
When I look at where they're proposing that hatched area that they say, which kind of was excluded from this tree removal permit, there are eucalyptus trees in that area. And I know, working with the applicant in the past, that he doesn't want eucalyptus trees. So I've advised him that this permit tonight would not cover the removal of those eucalyptus trees. And he would have to apply for the removal of those particular eucalyptus trees. So that's what I can tell you. So there's a couple more that would be in there, and I don't think it was, there's nothing intentional there. I think it was just a misunderstanding between his tree expert and what he proposed, and then what they were thinking they were doing in their head.
And so then there would be additional mitigation if they come in
Yes.
and get more? Okay.
Yeah.
So, and it sounds like that additional mitigation would need to be via mitigation funds because there's not room to plant trees on the property. Am I
Yes.
understand that? Okay.
Yes.
And then lastly, because it's, I know, extremely confusing for most of the public, and that's that the state laws that have changed around allowing ADUs on every single project. Can you kind of go through that for the benefit of the public that may not be aware that adding an additional ADU on every lot is by right?
Well, yeah, you just said it, so,
Okay.
any property can be developed with more than one ADU, actually. And this application, that's why they include ADUs. State law also prevents us from considering those within our density calculation. So they are viewed as literally accessory or in addition to a single-family dwelling. So we talk about them because we all, in common sense, look at them as somewhat of a different unit, another residential unit, but they are, if someone wants one, they are permitted by right, by state law.
And we have no say in that, nor with junior ADUs?
No,
correct?
other than our objective design standards, no.
Right. Oftentimes the public isn't aware of that, so I just wanted to make sure that I had that correct. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, of
Any
the
questions? Go ahead, Councilman.
53 oaks that were on the slide, those are not in the area of the hash marks that aren't going to be disturbed. Those are actually 53 oaks that
Yeah,
would be
there's
lost.
53 oaks in that kind of clear area. There
Okay.
are oaks within that hashed
Okay.
area, and
Okay.
those will be preserved. And I don't know the exact number, but
Are we able to get a count on how many oaks are being preserved?
I'm not exactly
Someplace
sure
down the
of that
road, maybe
number.
if we could get that, that might be just a talking point. With the young nature of these oaks, is there any opportunity to transplant any of those into any city parks or offer them to developers that are working in Cotati, or any rescue the oaks type of effort?
I think we can include that as a condition if you'd like us to, have
I think
him
that-
work with
yeah.
an arborist to find out which ones can survive that kind of
Mm-hmm.
transplanting. Yeah.
I think that would be worth doing. The optics of just clearing 53 oaks just doesn't look good, and I think if we could do more to try to mitigate that through, I don't know if restoration or transplanting, whatever the word would be, I think would be worth looking into.
Yeah, we can definitely include that as a condition of approval. I do want to say one thing. We're not going to just, also, this tree removal permit is going to be tied to any kind of grading or building permit. They're not authorized to just go out and cut the trees down and walk away from
Okay.
that action, so. And our code requires that any oak tree removal be associated with a development or a subdivision approval. You can't just go out and cut oak trees down. But we can include that replanting and have their arborist look at which ones that could do that. We would have to identify some places where that replanting would take place, but that's not a heavy lift.
Okay.
What I was thinking is we would condition the project to require the developer to offer them up as available for transplanting.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any additional questions from the city council? Okay. You guys asked the questions that I was wondering too, so we will go to public comment, and we'll start in the room. We'll invite Mr. Barrich first.
Thank you, Mayor. The issue that kind of concerns me here is the amount of effort and study that's done on something like this when when I think of all the years, Cotati would not even conduct a weed abatement program that was on the books. We had high weeds in this town all over private and public property for years. Citizens came forward to complain, and the city pointed fingers at our fire district. The fire district pointed fingers back at the city. Nobody wanted to take responsibility, yet fire hazards were abound for years in some of the driest seasons, you know? So some of us who've been here a long time listen to this with just unbelievable, they talk about common sense. I mean, common sense. I mean, I've had a call into Mr. Scott for 2 weeks about, you know, who owns the property at Highway 116 and West Cotati Avenue. They're doing work down there, and I just called in, you know, hey, who owns the property? Who's paying for this? I can't get a call back. Just talking about service. I don't know if my name's mud in this town or what. I don't know how many years I have to serve and come here with constructive criticism and volunteer and turn down my city paycheck to get some service. You know, we have medium strips here. When you talk about cutting down trees, we have medium strips that have been designed, landscaped, beautiful, then torn out, removed, tan bark put in. Now they're looking at re-landscaping it again. It's beyond my imagination. Either the lack of priorities or lack of common sense, yet everybody picks up a paycheck on the 15th and the 1st on their 4-day work week, and I can't get calls returned. It just boggles the mind. It really does. You reach out to you folks and you don't get any service. I don't know if it's your insecurities or what. So I find this fascinating.
Okay, just a quick time check. We are stopping at 7, so I'm not sure we should, we have a few more cards. So we'll take a few more cards. We have Mark Battaglia next.
Yeah, I'm Mark. Hello. And I own the adjoining property to this site. And I just want to comment, I looked online on this horticultural tree inventory report that was online. And I came up with, they had 69 trees listed on this site. And they had 68 of them recommended for removal, including the eucalyptus. And the only one that they said was worth saving was tree 57, which, okay, that's fine. And then they had a whole bunch of tree preservation guidelines in the package after they effectively would like to clear cut this whole site. I mean, so it seems kind of ironic, but that's okay. Yeah, I'm aware some of these trees have to come out because they're in the footprint of the house, but houses are proposed, whatever, PUDs, whatever you want to call it. But some of them are close to the property lines, within like 10 feet. I don't know. And those eucalyptus trees have been there since when I was a small boy. They were old trees, so I'm just commenting on that. And that's pretty much all I had to say.
Okay, thank you. Vanessa Aking Davenport.
Hello, it's Vanessa Atching Davenport. Hi, I'm Vanessa Atching Davenport, and I am an attorney married to my husband, Cliff. We are property owners adjacent to the larger open area Battaglia property, so we're on the other side of Mark. And on that side, which would be the rear side of the proposed subdivision, so those trees, basically, we look at those trees across Mark's property. I've been a litigator, state regulator, administrative law judge, hearing officer, particularly in the area of land use, zoning, code violation abatement for 37 years. So let me preface my comments by saying I'm not here to nitpick aspects of the proposed building construction and, the zoning. I'm not naive of the constraints that cities have since the new government code sections came into being, as far as planning and zoning goes. And actually, I'm also a Californian frustrated by the inability to provide necessary and affordable housing to Californians. I mean, I think this is something, no question, we need that. housing in the state. In fact, at the end of the day, I wish the developer well in getting this project through to fruition. I do have 2 objections that I wish to bring to the City Council, but to set the stage, I'll tell you a little about our particular situation and the physical aspects of the surrounding location to the proposed development. I've been a resident of Cotati for about 25 years at this same location, and for those 25 years, we've been privileged to live a life of quiet enjoyment here. It's been quiet, very private, allowing us to use a telescope from the backyard, otherwise enjoy our backyard in privacy and peace. What does not appear on the general plan and the maps, etc., is some aspects of the topography. Mark's property is 18 acres that wraps around us. It's very rural open space. Specific to the proposed subdivision, the topography is not always flat land. There's a slope that drops in like a swale onto the Battaglia property, running between the subdivision location and our property. The adjacent Battaglia property in places marks its boundary with mature oaks, cypresses, eucalyptus, among other types of trees. There's an ephemeral stream that runs in the winter and early spring, open grassland, many mature oaks, cypress trees, eucalyptus trees, and remnants of orchards. One aspect of the topography with that dipping swale is that noise carries. So more on that later. Second point I want to make is that this is a unique ecosystem. This is an amazing wildlife corridor in that 17, 18 acres. Because of the open lands, the area is a corridor for all sorts of wildlife. Mark has 2 cows on the property. That's their home. But in addition to that, this area forms like a
Ms.
real...
Davenport, we're going to ask if you can wrap that.
Yeah, an amphitheater for bird habitats for lots of birds. Basically, you see red-tailed hawks, nesting kites, egrets, herons, owls, migrating starlings, flickers, woodpeckers, etc.
Yeah, we're going to have to.
So there is a substantial
Yeah, we're going to
impact.
have to, I'm sorry, we're going to have to stop. The public comment is 3 minutes, and so we're out of the times. But you can send comments in if you like.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next I have Cliff Davenport.
Hi, Council. Good evening. I should have just given my time to her because what she was saying was very important. She was about to describe the multiplicity of all the animal life and bird life that we, having lived there for 25 years, have been fortunate enough to observe. And I would say that this corridor of diversity is there in large part because along the north side, there's this ring of trees that goes along, and it provides a border to insulate this wonderful biodiverse property from all the buildings that you see on the other side of Lund Hill Lane. And my concern is that if you look at the maps of the development that was shown there, there's the amount of trees that they're going to keep is very narrow. And so if you were to take those eucalyptus trees down, that border I was just talking about is going to be gone. So that means this whole area is going to be opened up to visual and auditory impact from the buildings and whatnot. So those eucalyptus provide a valuable function. I know people don't like eucalyptus and they're always looking to get rid of them, but this is a case where I think the eucalyptus trees provide a very valuable contribution to the ecology of the area. So I would like to see those eucalyptus stay. Barring that, I would ask that the developer look at either concentrating that narrow strip of where they're going to keep the trees or expand that strip somewhat so that to the border that has been destroyed by the removal of those eucalyptus trees can be restored and the biodiversity maintained.
Okay, thank you. So we do have to take the next meeting, so we're going to pause public comment? Or what?
Yeah.
What is your? What do you
I think we're getting close to the end. I would just, we just can't start before 7, so my suggestion is we just continue this item and then move.
Okay, is there anyone in the room that did not submit a card that wants to make public comment on this item in the room? Okay, then we'll go to Zoom.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Lemus. Once again, Zoom attendees, please use the raise hand icon if you'd like to comment on this item. The first hand is from Lori. You have the floor.
Hi. I agree with the previous speakers. Taking out all these trees, there is established biodiversity there. I mean, you look at those trees and you go, how many birds have settled there over the years? And that's really important to consider because we really have these little areas that are borders with eucalyptus, and they've kept us very small town. The other thing is I'm wondering, like, some of the 53 oak trees, they're like 15 feet tall. Some of them are more established than these 2-3 foot one, or well, I didn't see 8-3, but like 8 feet ones. Could there be a condition that they work around ones that are over 15 feet tall? They try to integrate those into the one. And then the last part I wanted to go over was still put in the tree mitigation fund, which is good because 140 trees would be too much. But how will that money be used? Will they, by the city? Well, we need help over here on the west side because there's some very dangerous trees that need to come down. And I'm just wondering where the money goes. Thank you.
The next hand is from Brian Flayhaven. You have the floor. Mr. Flayhaven, are you able to unmute your microphone and give your public comment?
There we go. I think I got it here. Yeah, my name is Brian Flayhaven. I'm a representative of the developer, and I just wanted to comment and just let everybody know that I understand and appreciate their concerns. This project, as JP laid out, was originally approved over 35 years ago and has always been intended to be developed. Over that period of 35 years, I can promise that every aspect from an environmental standpoint has been looked at, analyzed, litigated, and is kind of gone through the entire process. Frankly, since we've been involved, we've looked at it in every way, shape, and form as well. We have no desire to take out a tree that doesn't need to go. Our goal is to develop housing really for the missing middle. Our goal is to develop housing that is available for sort of the common person, common man, common woman. And in order to do that, unfortunately, we have to clear out these trees. As JP indicated, they're all volunteers. There aren't any trees that are monstrous. I understand the issue with the eucalyptus trees, and it's a tough one for me. I mean, I don't want to take out eucalyptus trees necessarily or unnecessarily, but for every person that wants to see eucalyptus trees go, another neighbor wants to see them stay, another neighbor wants to see them go because of the fire hazards they cause. So again, we're looking at this in terms of we're just trying to complete and develop what was approved many, many years ago. We're trying to do it as thoughtfully as possible. We're trying to also do it in a way that preserves the integrity of the neighborhood while understanding that we also have to deliver housing and we have to deliver it to folks that are in the middle income of our society. And so we're trying to thread a needle here, and I understand the concerns. And frankly, if we didn't have to cut down an oak tree, I wouldn't have to be here looking for approval and paying money to the town. So, or the city. And so it's a difficult situation. I understand and I get it. I just want everybody to know and understand that we're also cognizant of the environment, and we're trying to do what's best for everybody. And there's just no perfect solution.
Mayor Lemus, there are no further hands on Zoom. That will end public comment.
Okay, thank you. So now, a public hearing, bring it back to the council. So it sounds like from the developer that they're kind of trying to thread the needle with the trees, and they're mostly volunteers. So I want to ask if City Council has any more comments on this, or questions, comments?
So JP, there's that hashed area, which is sort of what was expressed as kind of the break between the properties. It's unclear what's going to happen there. It sounds like more trees may be asked for that. Is there a way in our conditions that we can set up kind of that biodiversity in that strip and be cognizant of kind of a swap, if you will, if trees have to come out, that other ones have to go in to kind of keep that, break is not a good word, but you know, that break and diversity there? Are we allowed to do that?
Yeah, what I think we can do is, when it comes in, we can add a condition that if there's any further removal in those hatched areas, that they actually do replanting in those hatched areas, as opposed to paying into our tree mitigation fund, unless it just doesn't make good arboreal sense to plant too many trees. And we could ask that they be, you know, trees that, like a live oak or something, which actually provides year-round, you know, screening in this case, and would help to attenuate sound. I also want to, Councilman Savage had asked, I did a quick count, and this is an approximate, but there's probably about 35 to 40 trees right now that are going to remain in those hatched areas. The other thing is, the tree inventory report that was cited by Mr. Battaglia only looked at what trees were going to be removed within those building footprints, not all of those trees in that hatched area. So when you look at that report of 69 trees, 68 are proposed to be removed, but they do not include the trees that are in that hatched area, just so I want to be clear. It's not a full clear cut.
And was there a hashed area at the, I'll get my north and south, at the south area?
No.
So all the way up to that property line, all of those trees will be cut?
Yeah, and those are eucalyptus and Monterey pine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, with consideration to neighbors, can we ask or condition that a row of trees be put in there, similar to what we did in Kessing Ranch, where we kind of protect existing neighbors from new development?
So staff would like to chime in on that. So we had some challenges with Kessing Ranch because a lot of the trees that were originally required as mitigation for essentially privacy concerns from the neighbors when the development was going through the process ended up coming in for removal or not being adequately maintained by the property owners who bought those homes. And so it was a real struggle for staff to, with those adjacent neighbors who had very, these set of expectations. And then, 5 years later, when the new property owners are in and they're not maintaining these trees that they don't really want, it was a challenge for staff. And so from the city perspective, we kind of internally discussed if trees were to be planted or required as a privacy for an adjacent property owner, that they be put on that property, so that way they would be insured to be maintained and provide the benefits that property owner had expectations for receiving, versus putting it on someone who wasn't a part of the original decision, may not be aware of all the requirements. And to the question of how does the mitigation money work, any property owner in the city of Cotati, multifamily or single family, can have the city pay for 2 trees a year to be planted on their property. And that's throughout the entire city. We also use that money to fund trees being planted with our restoration projects, our park projects. And so that is available at no cost to all residents.
So if I understand you correctly, I understand the problems with Kessing Ranch that we had there. So those adjacent property owners could come and ask for trees to be planted on their property, and that would get absorbed by the project? Or
we can fund trees to be planted on their property through the mitigation fund available to the city.
Okay.
If the council wants to condition that they have access to additional funds beyond the 2 trees a year, we can absolutely do that as a part of this action.
Okay, I think that that might be beneficial. And then what can we do about the strip that's not gonna, can we condition, I don't know how to say what number of trees need to be there to kind of,
Well, I think we won't know that until we see what's proposed for removal.
okay,
JP's just, basically, he's experienced enough to know that as the construction comes in, there's likely to be some additional trees requested. Right now, we don't know what trees those are or where they would be. And I think the condition should read that any additional trees proposed for removal shall be mitigated on site to some extent, because again, we can't force someone to plant, if the number's 50 trees, there just isn't gonna be room, but that some portion of their mitigation go back to actual planting and not be allowed to be fully done through fee payment.
well, right, but when you say on-site implies anywhere on-site, and the concern that I heard was, kind of that biodiversity in that corridor right there that's adjacent, and,
So we could say in the area where the tree was removed or
Okay.
on the, is it western property
what,
line?
western
Yeah,
property?
but
Yeah.
we can't condition it. That would require the applicant to do something on somebody else's property without that other property owner's permission
Correct.
and involvement in that decision. So we can have a conversation
Mm-hmm.
with the adjacent property, but that's about, it.
On the development site.
On the development side, it's fine, but planting on someone else's
Yes.
property, that has to be an agreement between parties, yeah.
So any of the adjacent property owners that would like to see trees on that border can engage with you to
Correct.
make that happen?
Through the Plant a Tree Katati program, there's a website on our
Okay.
page.
And it sounds like the 2 trees may not be sufficient, and so we're going to have to tell you something to make that be different.
So I think this approval could be conditioned that says, owners of property directly adjacent to any of these Lund Hill lots shall have access to additional tree mitigation funds through the Plant a Tree Katati program.
Nicely said, Noah, thank you. Those are my
Those
thoughts.
are your comments, okay. Any other comments?
Nothing other than what we talked about earlier with transplant prospects. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so since this is a public hearing, at this time, we would make a motion to approve it with the conditions?
To clarify the specific conditions, if whoever's making the motion could identify those conditions to be added.
Okay.
Why don't I go ahead and cite those conditions?
Sure.
That would be helpful.
That the first condition was the one recommended by Councilman Savage, which would be replanting the oaks if possible, to transplant the oaks if possible. The other would be to any tree removal within the hatched area, that there be, that they do replanting in that hatched area, and we can do that. That if, well, I would, how do you want to condition that last one? Because it's a condition that applies to others.
Just adjacent property owners have access to additional Plant a Tree Katati mitigation funds to plant trees on their properties.
Turn that on. I move we move a resolution approving a tree removal permit to allow development of a previously approved subdivision and planned unit development on vacant, unaddressed properties located on the west side of Lund Hill Lane between Jago and Valparaiso, with the conditions of replanting, retransplanting the oak trees that will be requested to be removed, and replanting in the hatched area to, if a tree goes, another one comes in, and that the adjacent property owners are allotted additional tree access through the mitigation program other than the 2 trees per year. Did I get that okay?
If I may just clarify one piece of the motion, that if the oak trees are available to be transplanted.
Yes. Thank you.
Second?
Okay, we have a second. So we'll do a roll call vote on this one.
Councilmember Savage?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Harvey?
Yes.
Mayor Lemus?
Yes. Okay, so three yes and 1 absent. Okay, so that closes the public hearing. So now we will take a short break so we can reassemble here, and we'll go to the 7 o'clock meeting. Just a little late. Thank you.
And the regular meeting will continue after this.
And the regular
special
meeting will continue, yes. Thank you. Okay, we're going to reconvene the first meeting. Okay, we're going to reconvene our joint meeting of the Cotati City Council, successor agency to the former Cotati Community Redevelopment Agency. So we left off on regular agenda, and we do not have an regular agenda today, right? So we continue on with land acknowledgement and the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you skipped over item 7 now? No. The future agenda, we already did that already last time. We already did that.
Oh, I'm sorry, my apologies.
Okay. The city of Cotati recognizes that we're on the ancestral lands of the coastal Miwok, who are the original caretakers of this area. We respectfully acknowledge the indigenous peoples who have been stewarding and maintaining a relationship on this land as knowledge keepers for millennia. This acknowledgement does not take the place of authentic relationships with indigenous communities, but serves as a gesture of respect for the land that we are on. And now please join us in a Pledge of Allegiance. We don't have comment on this item.
You always have. I've spoken on it dozens of times.
Okay, well, we'll let you speak for your time.
Thank you. It would be the right thing to do. I thought you've heard me speak on this many times. My comment tonight is that, once again, I appreciate the fact that we've moved this item to the latter part of the meeting, because as my predictions turned out correctly, there's no one left in the audience. So there's very little harm to be done by this ridiculous, racist, silly land acknowledgement. And in that vein, I appreciate the fact that City Council has moved it to the end. However, the Pledge of Allegiance was never intended to put at the end of the meeting. It should have been at the beginning of the meeting. And that's my real issue here, is that these 2 items of land acknowledgement and Pledge of Allegiance are mutually exclusive items. They have no business being on the same line with one another. The very fact that you put the land acknowledgement ahead of our cherished Pledge of Allegiance is absurd and offensive. So my request is to please divide these into separate issues, bring the Pledge of Allegiance back to the beginning of the meeting as it had been for decades, and leave your silly land acknowledgement, if you must sit around and powwow over this stuff, to the end of the evening. Hold hands, do whatever you want. Let us go home and avoid the embarrassment of it all. So I'm asking you once again to place on a future agenda that you split these items up to minimize the damage to this city's reputation and obliterating the city seal and everything else. Okay? It's this isn't rocket science. All this hysteria, about paying homage to a particular racial group that you can't prove, and that we have no proof that they respected the land any better than you and I or anybody else, is just, it's silliness. This is a respectable room, a respectable body of government, and you've reduced it down to this comic theater of catering to the casino and the casino interests. It's pathetic. I still have hope and faith that you guys can correct this. It's not rocket science. We're almost there. Divide the two items. Restore faith in this town. Put the pledge back at the beginning of the meeting. Have your fun of racial preference and protocol at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, seeing there's no one in the room, we'll go to Zoom.
Thank you, Mayor Lemus. Zoom attendees, if you'd like to make a comment on this item, please use the raise hand icon. Seeing no hands, Mayor Lemus.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to move on to City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. So just wanted to let you all know that the Laguna Pathway bids opened today. So I expect that we'll be bringing that to council at the next meeting. So probably the 14th of April. As you all know, there's a colorful flyer making its way around the room.
Mm-hmm.
The Climate Fair is this weekend. So act fast and make sure you get there. It's going to be at the train depot from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on March 28th. So in the world of rec, we had this past weekend, we had our annual community yard sale, and it was a big success. We had almost 300 visitors throughout the event, and collected over $2,000 to benefit the recreation department and our youth scholarship fund. And it's actually it's gotten so big it takes up multiple rooms at the community center. And this coming weekend is our bunny brunch and egg hunt event, and we still do have a few tickets left for each session. Next week we'll be delivering bunnygrams throughout Cotati and these parts of Rohnert Park. There's still time to sign up and send one to a loved one if you're interested. Each bunnygram includes a basket full of candy, a toy stuffed eggs, a small stuffed bunny, and personalized card. Then early next month, we have another spring break farm camp at the Ronda Floody Ranch for those children in year-round school or in the Petaluma School District. We had camp for children in the Cotati Rohnert Park School District last week, and continuing at the ranch will be the free compost weekend, volunteer days, and Wednesday early release enrichment classes. So all those are coming up, and a lot more, but you can find it all on the website. So I'll leave it there, but happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from council? Okay, great. So now we'll move to City Council reports. Anyone have a report?
I attended the Sonoma County Legislative meeting last Friday, and there's about 1,800 bills again this year, which is pretty normal, I guess. They've been being reviewed for the last 30 days. They had to be in 30 days ago. So they're just getting ready to come out this week, and there's some that they're still finalizing language on. There's 3 specific that the League of Cities are sponsoring that she highlighted for us, but we'll have more information on that at the next meeting.
Great, thank you. Okay, Vice Mayor?
Just a couple of things on, let's see. What is this one? I'll get my dates straight here. Okay, on March 12th, I attended the Santa Rosa Plain GSA meeting, and we had a presentation on the update of the annual report, and so that's coming along quite nicely, and we will be ready to prepare it and send it off on time. So that was the most important thing there. Then I attended the Facilities Planning Committee meeting for the Sonoma Marin mosquito vector control. And so they showed us kind of their preliminary plans and things and how they're dealing with the lovely wetlands out there. That poor piece of property that they have is really a challenge to work on. So they're moving along with that. And so we kind of saw some, not only the flat versions of it, they also showed us some 3D versions of what it will look like. So that's progressing quite nicely. I attended the Zero Waste Sonoma meeting, and Damien already mentioned the Cotati Climate Ready Fair. They mentioned that there. The next day, March 29th, in the Cotati room is our repair fair. So they were doing the repair fair there in the Cotati room. So bring your broken things. Last time when they had it in Rohnert Park, I actually brought a lamp and they were able to fix my lamp. So they're pretty good at fixing things. So they have a lot of different folks that kind of know how to fix things. I mean, I saw someone, they had like a toy and they had vacuums and outdoor equipment and all kinds of things. So they're pretty talented people. So another exciting thing for Zero Waste Sonoma is they actually, March 30th, will be moving to the new offices that we purchased out there by the airport. So the boardroom won't be ready for a couple months because they have to get that ready, but it's pretty exciting that the staff actually gets to move out of the county facilities and into their own building. So that was exciting. And then I already said the item that's going to come to us for the financing of household hazardous waste. And then today, Mr. Savage and I met with the city manager for our first ad hoc meeting on the trash contract. So that's all I have.
Great, thank you. So on March 12th, I met with the staff at the Secure Families Collaborative and learned about their work with county and immigrant serving organizations. The same day, I went to the mayor and council members board meeting with the mayors and the county contact, Christina Rivera was there. And the topics that were discussed were the Secure Families Collaborative work with the county and the immigrant serving organizations that they work with. There's like 19 immigrant serving organizations. Also, there was an issue that was discussed with the 4 cities that are having their animal services contract issues with their animal service contractor and the next steps that they're taking. Those are Petaluma, Sebastopol, Windsor, and Cloverdale. So I imagine you've seen information on that. So some of the issues are finding a new animal shelter, and I think some contractor and some have already worked towards that direction. Another issue is that they also have an issue with transporting said animals to the shelter, which led me to call our city manager to make sure that we had a process which I understand is working well. On March 19th, I went to a homeless coordination meeting, and this meeting was with electeds that met with Human Health Services, Department of Health Services, and we reviewed the MRG report, which is a new report that's going to talk about a new concept, which is a one system of care for homeless, to look at how what the board should look like, looking at different models that will work. That information will be shared at the Homeless Coalition meeting that's tomorrow. And the goal of the report is that with the new health services leadership, there can be like a fresh start or approach to homeless support, advancing the one system of care. So there'll be more information and more public information starting tomorrow on that. On March 23rd, on Monday, I was invited to Sonoma State to attend their Ed Eon EclipseCon mega movie. So what happens is they have attendees from across the nation, and there were some people there from like Washington and Arizona and different states, and online from other states. And so their agenda started on Sunday, but I joined them for a little while Monday morning to learn about their collaborative work on researching the eclipses of 2017 and 2024. So they put together these patterns and have like a solar physicist that talk about the patterns that totality creates, and it's just really kind of, some real science stuff that was really interesting work. And I also saw Gerald Paul. He used to work at the county, and he was a volunteer in ACS, which is an auxiliary communication specialist for emergency management, so he offered to teach me how to be a ham operator. So in the future, when I have time, I'll learn how to be a ham operator. So that was my report. Thank you. And so with that, was there any information after, first of all, the closed session item was removed for the night. Was there any information received after the agenda was posted?
Not for this agenda, no. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And so with that, we'll adjourn the meeting at 9:36.